Hi, welcome to the 700 Club. Thank you for being with us today. President Biden has made a pivot. The leader of the Defund the Police party is now calling for more funding for police officers in his new Safer America plan.
Well, the president's party is on the defensive when it comes to crime due to the spike in violence in Democrat-led cities across the nation. Biden is now trying to turn the tables by accusing members of the GOP of not supporting law enforcement. Charlene Aaron explains.
The president's Safer America plan includes more funding for police, but some in his own party still support defunding police, which has led to an increase in crime in Democrat-led cities across the country. During a speech in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania Tuesday, the president made the case for his crime prevention plan.
It's based on a simple notion. When it comes to public safety in this nation, the answer is not defund the police, it's fund the police.
The $37 billion plan seeks to increase the number of police officers, crack down on violent crime, and invest in services that address root causes of crime. But in recent years, progressive Democrats have been calling to defund police departments. Cities that have done so have seen a dramatic spike in crime.
It's been disastrous. Everything from petty theft to violent crimes to rapes, robberies, homicides.
Since 2020, homicide rates have been going up across the U.S., jumping nearly 20% in 50 of the most populated U.S. cities.
All the people in these big cities where crime has just gone crazy, they know that actually those liberal policies are not producing good results.
Mark Meadows is President Donald Trump's former chief of staff. He says Biden's plan is more rhetoric than action.
If he was all about law enforcement in this last bill that he just signed into law, he would have funded 87,000 police officers instead of 87,000 IRS agents. It's all about changing a narrative before the election.
Crime is an issue in the 2022 midterms, and many don't trust Democrats to solve the problem. Zach Smith, legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, points to a soft-on-crime approach by liberal prosecutors.
We'll see story after story after story of repeat violent offenders who have been released without bail, who have been released without serving their full sentence, and are essentially released back onto the streets to further victimize our communities.
The president trying to turn the tables by calling out members of the GOP who refused to condemn the January 6th attack at the Capitol, as well as some calling to defund the FBI after the raid on Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago.
Don't tell me you support law enforcement if you won't condemn what happened on the 6th. And now it's sickening to see the new attacks on the FBI, threatening the life of law enforcement agents and their families for simply carrying out the law and doing their job.
The president is also seeking to ban assault rifles in light of the recent increases in mass shootings. According to Gun Violence Archive, there have been 450 mass shootings in the U.S. this year. Andrew?
Charlene, as mentioned at the top of the show, this is it's an amazing pivot. And, I'd like you to talk about the pushback the progressive movement may give President Biden. And do you think conservatives are going to applaud Biden's move here, or do they just find it cynical? It's an election season.
I think some are actually saying it's laughable, Andrew, because we do know that, over the past few years, we've been hearing Democrats calling for police departments across the country to be defunded. Now, the president himself has not really been on that particular path, but you have this very vocal wing of the Democratic Party, the likes of Ocasio-Cortez, Representative Ilhan Omar, Representative Cori Bush, known as the Squad, many others also in that group, who've been saying for the past few years, we want police departments defunded, and they want stricter policing. They want less funding for police departments. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they push back against this new Safer America plan that the president unveiled yesterday in Pennsylvania.
I'm sure there's a lot of interesting conversations in the Oval Office right now. Everyone, that's Charlene Aaron, and we appreciate her reporting. In other news, the Justice Department claims there was likely obstruction of the investigation into the Mar-a-Lago documents. Ephraim Graham has more on that story from our CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Andrew, the Justice Department says classified documents were likely concealed at former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, probably in order to obstruct the government's investigation. The statement came in a legal filing Tuesday night. It included this picture, which officially shows the top secret documents mixed in among personal memorabilia. It also lays out a detailed chronology of months of strained interactions between the Department of Justice and Trump representatives, stating the FBI in a matter of hours recovered twice as many documents with classified markings than the president's team did in weeks of searching. No word on whether the department will seek an indictment. One legal expert told CBN's Faith Nation a conviction would require evidence of intent to commit a crime.
So even if you do indict, even if you do prosecute, even if you do have a trial, we don't have any idea. In fact, it's less than likely that he would be actually found guilty.
Tuesday's filing is in objection to the Trump legal team's request for a third party to review the documents. A federal judge is expected to rule on that request Thursday. Residents of Jackson, Mississippi are facing a water crisis. More than 180,000 people are without clean drinking water after pumps at the main treatment facility failed.
It means the city cannot produce enough water to fight fires, to reliably flush toilets, and to meet other critical needs.
Families are flocking to water distribution sites around the city. The governor has declared a state of emergency and called on the National Guard to help with water distribution. Contractors are working around the clock to fix the issue. Jackson's mayor is blaming maintenance issues that have been delayed for decades. The city issued boil water notices in July after tests showed high contamination levels. This week's storms and floods pushed the system to the brink. The average lifespan in America dropped for the second year in a row in 2021. The Centers for Disease Control reports life expectancy in the U.S. decreased by nearly a year to 76.1 years. Researchers cite COVID and the growing number of overdose deaths because of the opioid crisis as the main causes. Native Americans had the largest drop in life expectancy, now down to 65.2 years. There is no question sleep is an important part of a healthy lifestyle. Recently, the American Heart Association emphasized the importance of sleep by adding it to a number of indicators of good heart health. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson explains why sleep is so important and how we all can improve our snooze.
To show the powerful connection of sleep to a healthy heart, the American Heart Association is adding sleep to its overall key measurements. It joins diet, exercise, blood glucose, body mass index, blood lipids, blood pressure, and nicotine exposure. Most health experts and institutions recommend adults get 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night with few to no interruptions. Bodies need that time to repair and reset. Cardiologist Deepak Talreja says these days most Americans get much less sleep than in past generations.
As our society has gotten busier and busier and we're all available 24/7 with devices that connect us all the time, most Americans don't get enough sleep.
Dr. Talreja tells patients the path to better sleep begins with the right environment. The bedroom should be dark, cool, and quiet. Then establish your best bedtime and stick to it.
Set an alarm each night to remind you, just like you have a wake-up alarm, a go-to-sleep alarm can be very helpful.
Stay away from electronics well before bedtime and silence them to avoid interruptions during the night. And if you do wake up, stay away from the smartphone.
We're tempted to pull our device quickly if we're having a little bit of a hard time sleeping and look at Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or do things that, one, introduce light into our environment, and two, rev us up instead of letting us calm down.
Exercise is also very important to a good night's sleep. Severino Tiaba now works out daily and goes to bed at 9 p.m.
Now, since I'm getting older, it's routine. You know, the kids are out of the house, just me and my wife.
Tiaba made a lot of other changes after suffering a heart attack 6 years ago.
My chest was burning real bad, and I had my wife take me to the emergency room because I felt like I needed to get checked out, and it just got worse.
That near-death experience convinced this beer-drinking, cigar-loving, junk food junkie to do a 180.
You know, I want to be around to see my grandkids.
Tiaba started by following Dr. Talreja's advice to switch to a heart-healthy diet.
I eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of grains, no more red meat, no more pork. So I eat a lot of cold water fish, salmon, mackerel, and poultry.
Plus, he gave up alcohol except an occasional glass of red wine and ditched the cigars.
The biggest risk factor for heart disease in this era is still smoking. So quitting smoking is far and away the single most important thing a person can do.
And while Dr. Talreja hopes all his patients try this hard,
he says I'm a miracle case.
He says those who feel intimidated about making radical changes all at once can take it slow and tackle them one by one. So while heart disease remains a major issue, taking this approach could mean a lot less of it.
If we could get the average American to eat better, exercise, pay attention to their other health risk factors, and sleep better.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
So guilty, Andrew.
That's all right, Ephraim. That was a great report from Lori. It's so much valuable wisdom and information. And I love how she said, tackle them one by one. It's tough to overhaul your diet, your exercise routine, sleep all at one time. So let's take bite-sized pieces and evaluate what needs some work. I don't know about Ashley. Are you getting enough sleep at night, Ashley?
Look, sleep is important to me, y'all. So I make sure I get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. I try. I mean, some nights you just can't help it. You drink too much caffeine. At least sometimes that happens for me. My dog has to get up in the middle of the night. So
good for you.
What about you, Andrew?
I thought I was getting enough. The other night I was reading on my porch at night, and I fell asleep outside in the dark. So maybe a little more sleep is necessary. Yeah. But it was very relaxing.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's a great report.
No, it really
really
is.
Good information.
Yeah, we need to make sure we get our sleep for sure.